welcome back to the Reboots. I am your co-host, Jordan Bell, and we're excited to have you today. We've got a very, very, very special episode, a very, very special guest as well. I'm going to kick it over to my co-host, Dave. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Jordan. It's wonderful to be here today for another episode of the Reboot, where we're going to be reimagining one of our favorites, one of a lot of people's favorites, I would imagine, School of Rock, which is going to be a lot of fun. And we are we are joined by the expert air guitarist, former Worcester Scott, one of our best friends in the world, Aviva Neff. How are you, Aviva? It's lovely to have you
I'm
here.
so good. I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here, especially as a former band kid, which is why
Yes.
this is also so special to me.
You beat me to it because
Oh man.
I was gonna totally butter you up at the start of my pitch by saying, as a former band kid, but now everybody knows that yes, you are a former band kid, and which I think makes you especially qualified to be a guest judge today. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
And I think everybody should know Aviva picked this movie. I reached out to Aviva with the idea originally, and I had a different movie in mind. I won't say which movie it is because we may still do that movie. And Aviva promptly hit me with 5 movies that she thought would be better.
I didn't mean it like that.
No, I think you were right. This is a good movie to do. I'm very excited to do this movie.
No, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give folks, if this is your first time checking out the Reboot, very, very quick recap of what you're about to see. The aforementioned Aviva, the lovely Aviva, is our guest judge today. She gets to be a big fancy pretend movie executive who is hearing 2 pitches from myself and my co-host Jordan. Yeah, very important. I like that.
Yes.
And Jordan and I are going to be reimagining School of Rock, and that could mean a prequel, a sequel, a recast, a really whatever we want to do with it is what it's going to mean. We're going to find out very shortly. We'll explain what our idea is over the course of 3 acts, and at the end of it, Aviva's going to pick which one she thinks is the winner. One of us will be very happy. One of us will be very sad. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. Jordan, any final thoughts before we dive in here on School of Rock?
No, I think the only thing that everyone should know is that I am 1-0. If you haven't seen the first episode, please go back and watch. We will have links up as well. And I'm ready to go. But Dave, I think last time I kicked us off. So why don't we flip it and you kick it off this time?
All right. Yeah, let's do it. I very intentionally did not mention the record, by the way. But again, cat's out the bag at this point. So yes, 0-1, but that's okay. We love an underdog story.
You've got a chance to tie it up. Here you go.
Underdog story, chance to tie it up. So with that, let's kick it off with just our elevator pitches, which is going to be a really quick 30-second or so explanation of what our movie is going to be about. And my movie, Judge Aviva, is going to be a prequel of School of Rock. It is going to be the origin story, not of Dewey Finn's entire life, but really of his relationship with Ned Schneebly, his best friend, and as we know from the first movie, former bandmate, and kind of his rise into music, his connection to the band No Vacancy, which we see very early on in the movie School of Rock, and then of course at the end at Battle of the Bands. And it's gonna be a little bit more of a dark and gritty look at an up and coming musician, his relationship to substance abuse, managing relationships, all culminating in one of my favorite characters in movie history in the original School of Rock, kind of getting him to where we find him in that movie. It's going to be School of Rock, first period, coming your way very shortly.
Ooh.
Good title.
Yes. All right, Jordan, over to you, my man.
So my elevator pitch is much more simple. On this episode, I'm going with a sequel. And the title of the movie is simple. It's going to be School of Rock 2. And my elevator pitch is School of Rock 2 is the ultimate jam session with some of your favorite old characters and a few new ones as well.
I love it.
All right. It leaves me wanting more.
Yes.
There's something magical about that. There's something mystical about it.
This is the beauty and the simplicity.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said there.
Amen.
I like it. A little role reversal from our first episode where I did a sequel and Jordan a prequel. So This is going to be good. All right. Well, Aviva, any questions, any thoughts before we just get going here?
Of course, I have questions and thoughts. So thank you for sharing those with me, gentlemen. My first question is for David. Now, David, you mentioned that this would be a grittier version of School of Rock, which I'm very
Mm,
intrigued by. Can
mm,
you talk about that a little? Do we mean that there's going to be maybe like darker music,
mm.
a harder hitting storyline?
I love it.
And if so, I want to know who your dream director is
Ooh,
for this
man.
project. I
So
know.
many good questions.
Theater kid.
Theater kid, professional theater director. It's almost like she knows what to talk about. So firstly, I would imagine this, if you can think of like Will Ferrell in Stranger Than Fiction, if they is,
Yeah,
or Adam
yeah,
Sandler maybe in Punch Drunk Love. This would be a cool opportunity, I think, for Jack Black to kind of get rangy with it, you know, and kind of showcase a
yeah,
more grounded side of himself. We're probably going to lean on some age AI, you know, reducing technology to get him looking nice and young for this role. But yeah, definitely darker themes. I think like things that are alluded to in the first movie, like him drinking a lot, him being hungover when he goes to be a substitute teacher, things like that. Exploring
yeah.
maybe where those come from, exploring some of the ideas like Sarah Silverman's character in the first movie, Patty, who's kind of
Hmm.
played as kind of this just kind of like annoying girlfriend. This movie is going to kind of look at relationships like that hold back creativity and hold back people from actually exploring the things they want to go do, maybe in a more realistic, grounded way. So yeah, those are the types of things that we're thinking about. And in terms of director, I would actually give the easiest thing, maybe a cop out answer, but I might just run Richard Linklater back because he's such a
Yeah,
phenomenal director. And even though like School of Rock, the original, has a very different tone than what we're going for, I think there's other stuff that he's done that might, you know, suit what we're looking for.
yeah.
So
I
that's what I
think
got for
didn't
you.
he
Yeah.
direct Jack Black and Bernie?
He did exactly that.
Yeah,
That was
that
my
yeah.
first thought was like, it has that more grounded kind of element to it.
Yeah.
So you got it
Come on,
exactly.
dramaturgy. I love it. I
We
love
got
it.
it. We got
I
it.
like it.
That's it.
Okay. That's great. All right, Jordan, your turn. Hey, I love a well thought out sequel. I love a little victory lap, if you know what I mean.
Of course.
So I guess my question is, what do you think is what needs to stay? Like what elements of the first film would you want to retain for your sequel? And then what elements would you be willing to change in your sequel? So what do you keep? What do you evolve, grow, nurture?
So in my sequel, the one thing that we wanted to keep was the theme of kids playing music.
Yeah.
We that's that's the main thing in the first movie, and so I wanted to recreate a movie with some new characters, but we wanted kids and we wanted music. But what
Hmm.
I wanted to do was there really is no Dewey Finn in my movie. We've moved on from Dewey Finn, and we've created some new characters. We have evolved some of the characters from
Hmm.
children to adults, but Dewey is
Hmm.
no longer a part of their life. And third, you didn't ask me this, but just to butter up the judge a little bit, if I were to pick a director for my film in her first opportunity to direct a feature film, I would have picked Aviva. So
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Boo.
Gold
That is
star for my
shameless.
little teacher's pet.
Oh, shameless.
Gold star for the teacher's pet. And honestly, like I accept. Like I'm ready. Put me in. I've never
I'll,
directed a film before. How
I'll
hard
send
can
you
it
the
be?
script when we're done. Yeah,
I'm
you
ready.
got
Oh my
I'm ready.
got it.
goodness.
But back to your idea, all bribery aside, that's a pretty bold move to say, what can we envision from this movie and not immediately say, oh, well, we have to keep Dewey Finn. That's a bold move. I'm not willing to say if I agree or disagree, but I just want to call out that that's a brave choice.
All right, I appreciate that.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's a brave choice.
I love it. Yeah. Bold, definitely bold.
Hmm.
Absolutely shameless bribery of the directorial debut offer, but I love it.
I
Honestly,
know.
all's fair in the
It's
reboot there.
working.
So it's
I mean,
right.
it's
It's working.
working.
Exactly. If it works,
Yeah.
it works. If it works, it works.
The gloves are off.
Can't argue with results. Can't argue with results. All right. Well, with that, I'm gonna kick off my first act description here for School
I'm
of Rock
ready.
first period. All right. So after all of our discussion of grittiness and darkness and drinking and all this, we're actually going to start our movie in high school. We're going to start
Mm-hmm.
in a band room. This is where I was going to really butter you up, but we're in the band room in high school, and we're seeing a young Dewey and a young Ned Schneebly. And
Mm-hmm.
the first, we're not going to go shot by shot for the whole movie, but this first shot is important because we should feel from the very minute we see these two together that Dewey is teaching. You're in the School of Rock right away because we got
Yes.
Dewey and Ned working, and Dewey is not only Jack Black, and it's important that he's Jack Black. And it's funny to counter Jordan's for a second. It really is like focusing entirely on Dewey and saying this guy is charismatic and engaging and you're drawn to him for a certain reason. And you see that in all the funny Jack Black, type of ways.
Yeah.
But it's also very important that he's teaching Ned and Ned is clearly his friend and there's a bond there. And from that point on, the relationship is established. And I think through of course, classic rock montage like we have in the first movie, very similar soundtrack throughout, very driven by the Zeppelins of the world, that type of era. We see Dewey and Ned start to learn how to play music together and start to love the culture of music and the history of it, and maybe even an allusion to the famous blackboard shot in the first movie where we see like
Yes.
how every
Yes.
band grew out from each other, all this. So we see where Dewey is learning all this is when he's in high school, he's with Ned, he's with his buddy, they're doing it. Through the course of this process, they meet two other buddies, Roddy and Tony, and they form a band called No Vacancy. And they start out by playing small shows. They start out by playing little indie rock things around town and starting to kind of grow as an act. As they start to, develop buzz in a minor way, start to kind of make a name for themselves in the local scene, Ned meets a girl at one of these shows, and this girl turns out to be Patty. And Patty, from the minute that she meets Ned, is someone who likes to take up a lot of his time, likes to make sure that she's accounting for him wherever he goes. His time around the band starts to suffer a little bit, but ultimately he's always telling the band, she loves me, I love her, and I love you guys, and I'm here for you. Dewey is immediately distrustful, but loves his friend and is going to support him in what he wants to do. So after a little bit more time, we see that No Vacancy is actually pretty talented. They are actually putting some stuff together. More people are attending their shows, and they get an invite to go audition for a label. And they're not going to go into a room and audition. They're going to go put on a show. They're going to put on a real show in front of live fans. And as exciting as this is and as ready as the band is, we find out that throughout this process of the band starting to put their stuff together and Ned meeting a girl, Dewey, in addition to loving rock and roll, is loving all of rock and roll and is starting to take inspiration from some of the bad influences in rock, starting to drink by himself, starting to kind of do some of the things that you see when someone's not taking care of themselves and is just getting lost in something that maybe they don't fully comprehend just yet. But it's not impacting anything yet. He's still a part of the band. He's a really talented guitarist. Ned's on bass. They got a really good lead singer. And now they have an amazing opportunity to go play for a label and maybe get signed. That's the end of Act 1, School of Rock first period.
Okay. I like it. Dewey's about to go down a bad path, I think.
We'll see. Anything can happen in Act 2, but we're going to find out, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Excellent. Jordan, take us away.
Yeah, I'll go into my first act and then we'll get your thoughts, Aviva. So
I have many. I'm ready.
I'm gonna stick with my format from our first episode, and I'm gonna kind of read through my plot points here. So at the beginning of Act 1, we begin with a montage narrated by Summer from the first movie, if you remember Summer. All right, she catches us up on what's happened with everybody from the first film. Most of the students went on to have successful lives and are thriving in different occupations all across the world. Dewey, after a long career as a brilliant teacher, has moved to Hawaii to enjoy his retirement. We learn that once they entered high school, Summer started dating Fred, the drummer from the first movie. They dated all throughout high school and college. During senior year of college, they got pregnant with fraternal twins, and they decided to move to New York City after graduation, where Fred's dad hooked him up with a job at an accounting firm. Soon after they arrived in New York, Summer gave birth to their son and daughter, Kevin and Miranda. Summer, for the early years of motherhood, was a stay-at-home mom, and Kevin worked while Kevin worked countless hours.
Mm-hmm.
Once the twins got older and didn't need as much care, Summer decided to go back to work and is now the principal at the private middle school that Kevin and Miranda attend. Summer has completely turned that school around, and it is now the highest performing school in New York City. She rules with a heavy hand, especially her two children who are at the top of their class. Miranda, the president of the student government, and Kevin is the president of the science club. After the montage, we find Summer, Fred, Miranda, and Kevin all at home getting ready for dinner. It's halfway through the first semester, and Miranda has brought home the kids' progress reports. We discover that both Fred and Miranda have straight A's in every subject except for math, where they both have a D. Fred and Summer are confused. Both kids have been straight A students their entire life, and the kids insist that there is nothing to worry about, but Fred and Summer see it differently. After the kids go to bed, we find Fred and Summer in their bedroom discussing what to do with their kids. Fred is a little concerned that they are being neglected by their mother while at the school. How could she be the principal of the school and not know that the kids are struggling? Summer accuses Fred of the same neglect, saying that he spends way too much time at work and because he's been working 3 or 4 nights a week super late. The next day, Kevin and Miranda go to school with their mom, and we meet their friend Brandon. Brandon is the president of the Student Activities Board, and he's gone to school with the twins their entire lives. After discovering that his friends are struggling with math, he informs them that the budget for the winter dance has been cut in half without any real justification, and he doesn't believe that there will be enough money for them to pay a DJ.
Oh no.
Kevin and Miranda insist that some mistake has been made, that their mother would never do that. They go to their mother's office to ask her what Brandon is talking about, and she tells them that indeed the budget for the dance has been cut, and they're going to use that money to get some new math tutors. And Kevin and Miranda are going to be going to some math tutoring after school. Meanwhile, we find Fred in his office at work. It's nearly the end of the day, and he suddenly gets a text message that we cannot see. However, we do see him text Summer telling her that he's going to be late coming home from work. So he quickly grabs his stuff, runs to his car, and drives off. And when he gets to his destination, he opens the trunk of his car, and he has a change of clothes and a set of drumsticks with him. He changes, runs inside, and meets up with a group of people who are clearly a band. There's a man standing with the band holding the guitar. It's our guy Zach from the first movie.
Hey.
Fred and Zach have remained friends over the years, and Fred fills in as a drummer for Zach's band a few nights a week because their drummer is routinely late for gigs. They've been trying to get Fred to join the band for months, but he says he can't because Summer would kill him. So instead, he's been lying, telling her he's been working late on nights that they need him for gigs. Fred comes home later that night, and the kids are clearly in a bad mood. He asks why, and they explain to him that their mother has cut the funding for the school dance and there won't be a DJ. Fred tries to convince Summer that she is going way too far, and she needs to remember that the kids need a balance between school and fun. However, Summer's not hearing any of that, and she has made up her mind that the next day she's going to start interviewing math tutors.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. I hate math.
Wow.
For what it's worth.
I know, right? I'm like, oh, math. I'm kind of, again, stunned that not only are we really time jumping away from Dewey Finn, we're also kind of time jumping away from the main cast as the main cast, like making the kids adults and not the main characters. Like, I was expecting like a high school jump or a college, but like jump to professional life and parenthood, that's crazy.
They're all grown up now.
That's crazy. It's bold. It's a bold choice.
Jordan's a crazy guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a wild guy. You went to college with me.
Yeah.
I'm a wild guy.
Oh yeah. J baby.
J baby. That's right.
J baby.
I love it. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, thank you, Jordan. I love
Yeah.
it. Aviva. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Jordan or mine's?
Yeah,
Ones?
definitely.
All right.
Definitely. Okay, so like here's the thing. I don't know if this is really a question, but this is a feedback. I think that Tony needs to be a girl.
Yeah, I like
Like you
that.
need to have some cool girls. If you're gonna have
Yeah.
the mean snotty girl, you have to have a cool girl. Like
Yeah.
equal representation.
Love that.
And plus you two both have cool girl partners and a cool girlfriend. So you know that there's cool girls. You know what I mean? You
No
don't have an
doubt.
excuse. So
Okay.
there needs to be a cool girl. That's feedback. Um, I'm gonna come back to you in a sec, David, because Jordan, I want to ask you, um, why New York?
I felt like that was good for the music scene,
Hmm.
right? Like
Sure.
If him and Zach are gonna be sneaking off and playing gigs randomly, I wanted
Yeah.
to pick a city where that seemed feasible.
Yeah.
And maybe I missed it in the first movie, but it doesn't really say where they're living in the first movie, does it?
I think it's Chicago. I
Okay, I
think it's
wasn't
Chicago. It looks
100%.
Chicago
like
suburb, I
Chicago.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay,
looks like Chicago. Like there's some downtown shots. I think
yeah.
they have a shot of the L at some point, I think. Or
I
the
also
loop
think
thing.
I live on the East Coast now, so New York
Yeah,
seemed to make sense.
that's
That was
fair.
there's no like real rhyme or reason to that other than a city that
No.
live music is feasible.
I was honestly picturing Seattle while you were talking.
Okay.
And and similarly, like, I live in the Midwest, but my father's in Seattle and I go out there pretty frequently now at this point. And so when you were just describing kind of this mix of like a music scene and it's like, the prep school, I don't know. For some reason I was just thinking
Maybe
Seattle, but
maybe
obviously either
School
is
of Rock
fine.
maybe School of Rock 3 will take place in Seattle.
Yeah, exactly.
For what it's worth, in a quick Google search, it says a lot of the filming was done in Staten Island in New York.
Oh,
Main Hall at Wagner College in Staten Island is where a lot of the filming was done. So
Interesting.
you are
Seattle's an
an East Coaster.
interesting call. I think for another music scene city, definitely.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like feedback for both of you. Sorry. Okay, my question is, um, for Jordan, what kind of music would the kids be into?
We're gonna find
Kevin
that
and
out.
Miranda. Oh,
We're gonna find that out in Act Two.
okay. Okay, 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 okay.
Yeah,
Um, can I make a prediction
please do.
for both of you? So my prediction for David, what I predict is that um Ned's going to show up to the big high stakes music event, but Dewey is not. And it's going to be Dewey that lets the band down. And my prediction for you, Jordan, is that um, Freddie, sorry, I had to like search for his name. Freddie is going to somehow make it so that Jack Black is the math tutor that gets hired.
Interesting. Interesting.
Okay.
I love
Dave,
it.
should we answer? I don't
No,
think
no,
we
no.
should answer. I think.
Let's
No,
let's
don't
get going.
answer. I just want to
No,
hear,
I
yeah, I
love
just
it.
want to hear your pitches, but I wanted to make a prediction.
I
All
love the
right.
prediction. I love all of it. I also love thank you for keeping us honest and making sure that we pass the Bechdel test and are
Oh
making sure
yeah.
that we're representing. And you're right. I think Tony is perfectly non-gendered in the ways that it needs to be, and is definitely a
Yeah.
female member of the band. So,
Yeah.
all right. So getting back into Act Two, um, no vacancy. It's got this show lined up. Everyone's feeling pretty good. Dewey is nervous, very nervous.
Hmm.
This is the biggest opportunity he's had. He's started to drink, as we established in Act One. So he heads to the bar before the show. He's still a young kid, but it's a different time. It's whatever. He's a local. He knows how to get
Yeah.
in. He's having a drink in the bar, and as he's there, he sees another woman singing, performing in the bar. And she's clearly very talented, beautiful. He's very captivated by her. He pounds another drink and then goes up and starts talking to her. finds out her name is Sarah. They seem to vibe. There seems to be a chemistry there between the two of them. And he's like, but I got to go. I got to go do this show.
Mhm.
And Sarah was like, okay, I get it, but like if you want to stick around or come by and say hi anytime, please do. Dewey kind of weighs it for a second, ends up having another drink, ends up having another 2, 3 drinks. Cut to the show. The crowd's in the audience. Ned is there. Sorry, prediction failed on that one. The whole band is ready to go.
That's what I said.
Oh, you said Ned is going to show. Okay.
There,
prediction correct so far.
No, prediction passed. Yeah, completely.
So prediction
correct.
passed. Prediction passed.
Yeah.
But Dewey does show up. So
Ooh.
Dewey is now the lead guitarist has finally arrived, and No Vacancy can start playing their show. And kind of like we see in the first shot of the first School of Rock, Dewey makes the show about himself and not about the band. He's drunk. He's playing too loud. He's taking his shirt off. He's doing all the things that a record label probably doesn't want to see from a young emerging band that they're trying to sign. Kind of ruins the show. Has a bad show. Some time goes by. We go to rehearsal for No Vacancy after the show, and Dewey walks in and can sense immediately there's a different energy, kind of again similar to when he gets replaced by Spider in the first movie.
Yeah.
You see that the band has clearly made a decision, and then Ned is standing away from the rest of the band, and the band says, "This is just too much. You're a liability. Everything that you do makes the band worse, not better. And we can't have you be a part of it anymore. We're going to find another guitarist." And Dewey is upset, but kind of expects it. He knows that he's probably gone a little too far, but he also knows that Ned is in the band and that's his guy. And he taught him everything about music, and Ned doesn't stand up for him. Ned says, "There's nothing I can do, man. The decision's been made." So Dewey leaves and spirals into a really bad headspace, and again continues drinking, continues not taking care of himself, but now he doesn't have this outlet that he used to have to express some of those feelings. Patty, Ned's girlfriend, has a very smug attitude about it. Told you so. He was never any good, that kind of vibe. But the one thing that's kind of keeping Dewey afloat is Sarah, this person that he's met, and he goes to her music shows, watches her sing. Every time that he's around her is positive. Everything else in his life feels kind of negative. And as we get to the end of Act 2, as we get to kind of the rising point of our movie here, Sarah now gets an opportunity to go play for a label, and she's gotten it only through playing by herself. She's an independent artist, and she now has this opportunity that comes up. And Dewey is now confronted with the success of his girlfriend, the success of his former band who are continuing to play, continuing to rise through the indie music scene. And he's kind of this guy at the end of the bar, even though he's a young person who's already turned into this kind of grouchy, real rock isn't really real anymore kind of person at the end of the bar. And it's all starting to kind of build for him, I think, internally, where he doesn't know how to really process any of this information and all of this other stuff that's happening around him. So as Sarah heads off to go do her label gig, Dewey finds himself alone in the bar, listening to a bad bar musician, the opposite of what Sarah was when he was in the bar last time, drinking himself into a kind of angry state where we're not quite sure if he's going to go confront No Vacancy, if he's going to go watch Sarah, if he's going to do something else. It's kind of this moment of tension and indecision for Dewey as we get to the climax of Act 2. Dark, gritty.
Yeah, that's very deep.
Yep.
I'm locked in. I'm very into it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll kick off my Act 2, and then we'll get into some more questions.
Yep.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right. So it is now the next day, right? The kids have just learned that their mom has cut all the funding, and there's going to be some new math tutors coming in soon. And Fred and Zach have gone out to have a beer, and Fred wants to vent to Zach about the problems he's having at home with Summer and the kids. Fred is worried that Summer has lost what it means to be a kid. And one of the reasons that he fell in love with her is because she had so much fun learning. She was passionate about it. And now she's turned that passion into just being overbearing. And she makes school a place where the kids don't have any fun. Meanwhile, we've got Kevin and Miranda and Brandon and two new friends, Marcus and Angela, walking around Central Park. The kids are all looking forward to the winter dance, but now they don't want to go because there's not going to be any music. Brandon, Marcus, Angela, and Kevin and Miranda, I'm sorry, Brandon, Marcus, and Angela all know that the twins are bummed out, that they're going to have to go to tutoring. And they promise that once their mother finds a new math tutor, that they're also going to go to tutoring just so they can be with their friends.
Aw.
Next, we find Summer at home alone on the phone with Lawrence, the keyboard player from the first movie. Lawrence is currently living out in San Francisco, where he works in the tech industry. Summer's telling Lawrence about the worries she has with her job and how she's even worried that Fred may be cheating on her because he's
Aw.
working all of these late nights. Lawrence, not knowing that Fred is playing in Zach's band, not knowing that Fred playing with Zach in the band is a secret, accidentally spills the beans that he's seen pictures of Fred on Instagram playing in the band. Summer, a little taken back by this news, but also a little relieved that Fred isn't cheating on her, but she's disappointed. But she decides that she's not going to say anything to Fred. She's going to keep this between her and Lawrence. Next, we get another montage of Summer going through multiple different candidates for the school tutoring gig, but none of these tutors seem to fit the bill. After a long day at work, Summer convinces Fred to go out to dinner, something that they don't do anymore with their very busy lives and having kids. While at dinner, Summer prods Fred a little bit about work, trying to get an answer on why he's been working so late. Fred, however, dances around the subject and asks how the search for the tutor has been going. Summer says that the search for the tutor has been useless and there are no good candidates out there. While at dinner, Summer comes up with an interesting idea. What if Fred becomes the school's math tutor? He's an accountant. He's got all the qualifications that he would need. Plus, he would get to spend more time with the kids and less time working late. Fred, a little reluctant at first, agrees, but he has one condition. Summer cannot come into the classroom while he's tutoring. He must have complete privacy with the kids. When Fred and Summer arrive home, they tell the twins the news that starting next week, not only will their mom be the principal at the school that they go to, but their dad is also going to be the new math tutor. The kids aren't super pumped about this, but they don't have a say in the matter. So we get to day one of tutoring, and we find Fred, the twins, and all of their friends all in the classroom. Fred quickly discovers that the twins pick up on math pretty easily, and that actually, with the help of their friends, catching up in math won't be super hard. So he asked the twins why they've been struggling so much in math class, and they explained to him that they've been listening to Pink Floyd during math class in these tiny little headphones that they found on Amazon. Not only that, but all of the kids in the classroom love rock music and they bond to it in their free time, but they're scared to tell their parents because it's not the type of music that they're encouraged to listen to at such a prestigious private school. Fred comes up with the idea that if the twins and their friends agree not to let anyone else find out what they're doing in the classroom, he will teach them how to play music during their tutoring sessions, and they will play the music at the winter dance instead of hiring a DJ. End of Act Two.
Oh,
I like where both of these are going. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. Congratulations. I feel like David, I'm gonna give you a pass on the prediction because I feel that, what you said more or less captures where I was going with that.
okay.
That's a neutral thing, though.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
neutral
Yep.
thing. That's
Yeah, fair enough.
neutral.
Fair enough.
Sometimes I feel like, okay, if you set the story up well enough that I can predict it, that means that your story has great structure. But then similarly, it can be like, oh, I wish I could just guess the ending. So
Right.
we'll see. We'll see after Act Three if that's a good or a bad thing.
Yep.
Jordan, I like it. So which of the kids is most likely to be a hip hop head? because we know that I get that they like rock, but like, some genre like variety, I think could be an opportunity. So tell
That's,
me which one and tell me their favorite like rapper.
so I'm gonna say, from what we know about the characters in my head, I'm gonna say their friend Brandon is probably the most
Hmm.
likely to be a hip hop head. And being from New York, I think he's an ASAP Rocky fan.
Great.
Amazing.
He's had a
That's
Amazing.
good
that's
week.
that's,
Yeah.
that's my prediction. I think Brandon, on top of listening to Pink Floyd and some other rock bands, every once in a while throws in a little ASAP Rocky.
Yeah, maybe some Tyler too. I can see that.
I
Yeah,
love it.
for sure,
I
for
like
sure.
that. I like that. I
Rihanna's
like that.
boyfriend. Yes, Rihanna's
Yeah.
boyfriend. Yes. Um,
A lucky man.
As he's
Uh,
formerly known as.
yes, correct.
yeah. Um,
Amazing.
David, back to
Yes.
you really quickly,
Yes.
really quickly. Um, if you had to pick an actress to play Sarah,
Yeah.
who would it be? Who would
Yeah.
it be?
Good question. Love doing these types of castings. Um, I would probably pick, I think, excuse me, in my mind, she's like a singer-songwriter type. Um,
Hmm.
like like Sarah McLachlan is like the first name that popped into my head, but that's a little dated and probably not the exact type of music I'm thinking of. Um, I would probably you know who I might actually cast would probably be someone like Natalie Portman. Like Natalie Portman from Garden State, like that era of her being like spunky but super talented, very wholesome, very sweet. Um,
Yeah.
but like someone who like an actress with the depth, I think, to convey like the complicated relationship. Again, like I mentioned before, like in Patty's case, a partner being kind of a negative influence on someone's creativity. I think Sarah's character has to deal with she's the more talented person in a creative relationship, which is also
Hmm.
another interesting thing that people need to kind of deal with. So, yeah, I think,
Yeah.
with the right writer, it could be a meaty role that I think someone like Natalie Portman would eat up, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Or
like it.
like if we did it in 2025, maybe like a Millie Bobby Brown.
That's a way better,
Ooh.
more
I
contemporary
think she has
comparison.
I think she has Natalie Portman energy,
Totally. I think that's a
like
great, you know what?
yeah.
And actually, and not, maybe not like in terms of like physical appearance or anything, but like, I think like the character has a little, Billie Eilish kind of vibe happening,
Yeah.
like a little angsty. I said wholesome earlier, but I don't mean that in like a super clean
Yeah.
cut way. I mean that in like a wholesome type personality. So yeah, cool. Good
Yeah.
question. I like that. It always helps me understand it a little better if you can try and cast it like that. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, I think I'm ready. I'm ready for
All
the
right.
final
Big finish.
showdown here.
Big
Yeah.
finish, big finale. Two very different stories and very different movies.
Hmm.
I like how we went in very different directions here. So,
I love
Yeah,
all
it.
me
right.
too.
So, finishing up here, Act 3, School of Rock first period. Sarah has her show, her big show coming up. Dewey's getting drunk in the bar, kind of happy for her because he thinks she's great, but kind of feeling bad for himself. Nothing's really going right for him. As he's getting ready to go to the show, who busts into the bar but Ned effin Schneebly.
He's back.
And he says, "My God, where have you been, Dewey? We have been calling you. We can't find you. Our guitarist didn't show. We have a gig. We need you to come play with no vacancy right now." So Dewey's like, "Moment of truth. I'm hammered. I'm mad. I hate these guys. F it. The spirit of rock dictates that Dewey Finn must go shred this show." Dewey, in his moment of darkness, rises to the call, goes to the show, plays, does a great job. The show is a bar gig, it's nothing crazy, but it's a successful show. He does it, feels great about it. The guys in the band are clearly grateful and appreciative that he stepped in. Dewey has this win. Him and Ned kind of share a moment, like, "Thanks for doing this, man. We really appreciate it." And Dewey doesn't push it. He says, "You know what? You guys are welcome. I'm happy to do it." I wonder how Sarah's show went. Goes, Can't wait to go tell her the big news. You just played a great show. Sarah has been signed to this label on the spot and is flying to LA tomorrow. Dewey does not process this well. He immediately lashes out and tells her that the first chance that she got to leave him, she's taking, and that she never really cared about him, and basically flushes all the wonderful times they had together kind of down the pipe. And she doesn't know how to react other than to say, I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt you, but I need to go chase my dream and be successful. Sarah leaves. Poor guy, but also good for Sarah. You know, what are you gonna do? The talent's gonna take you where it's gonna take you. So Dewey now, after having this, what he felt like was a moment, now it spirals even further into a place that we haven't yet seen him go. It's really starting to get ugly. He crashes a show of No Vacancies that he's not invited to play at, trashes the room, and as he's let out by security from this No Vacancy show, he's kind of thrown out on the street. He doesn't go anywhere, and he kind of just sits on the curb and lets it all kind of hit him, and he's not quite sure what he's going to do with himself. And right when it starts to feel like, what is the next move for Dewey Finn? You know, is this going to end up in the saddest place it can end? Is he going to maybe have some spark to figure it out? The door behind him opens, and it's Ned Schneebly. And Ned sits down next to him. He doesn't put his arm around him, and he doesn't tell him that he's great. He says, maybe it hasn't been Rock this whole time. Maybe it's been you that has needed to change and needed to look at yourself and figure it out. And Dewey, for the first time, hears him and understands where he's coming from. And then Ned says, but I love you and you're my friend and I'm always going to look out for you. And until you figure this out, you're always going to be welcome wherever I am. And that means Dewey's going to move in with Ned and Patty, who he now lives with, even though Dewey, even in the moment on the street curb, knows that living with Patty is going to be a headache for him. He recognizes that his friend is extending the only olive branch that he has in the world, and that he's going to take it. And that even though he's not going to become a rock star that night on the curb, he's going to live to fight another day because he has a friend in the world. And it's going to end on that kind of like melancholy feeling of not everything got figured out, but when there's love and people you care about around you, even when you're at your lowest, you're going to have some, a way to continue on. And then, we end up with the character of Dewey Finn, where as we find him at the beginning of the original School of Rock, hung over on a futon or whatever in Ned and Patty's apartment. So that would be my take on School of Rock first period.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. We all need a friend like Ned Schneebly.
Everybody needs a friend like Ned Schneebly. Exactly. Who then that my version of it does make him then taking Ned's identity as a substitute teacher really messed up, like on a deep level, but like, that's okay. We're going to roll with that one for right now.
It's okay. I think we were all each other's Dewey Fins in college, which is,
absolutely. That's pretty
cool.
Listen, it's a bond.
Honestly, truer words have never been spoken. I love it. All right. We'll get into Act 3 of School of Rock 2, and we'll get up out of here. All right. So the third act begins with another montage of Fred showing up to school every day and sneaking a drum set into the classroom and teaching the kids how to play all different types of instruments. Eventually, even Zach jumps in and joins the tutoring group, and all of the kids are jamming out in the classroom getting ready for the winter dance. We also see Kevin and Miranda in the classroom paying attention and getting good grades in math class. Everyone in the family is happy, including Summer, who doesn't have to worry about Fred sneaking off and playing with Zach anymore. Plus, her kids are doing well in school. Next, it's the week of the winter dance. The school has been decorated and all the students are excited. Even Summer is in a good mood this week. Kevin and Miranda come home after school or I'm sorry, after their band session and throw their book bags down on the living room floor. Summer, while cleaning up the house, finds Kevin's book bag with a set of drumsticks and sheet music inside. She looks inside Miranda's bag and finds sheet music as well. As she's looking through the kids' things, Fred walks through the door. She asks if he knows why the kids would have drumsticks and sheet music. Fred eventually has to come clean and admits to Summer what has been going on in the tutoring sessions. Summer is furious and gets ready to call the kids downstairs. Fred stops her and explains to her why he did what he did. The kids needed some fun in their lives. School had become way too overwhelming, and they needed something in their lives that reminded them that they were kids. The fact that they were able to improve their math grade during this time is evidence that fun is actually something that the kids did need. So Summer, who's not thrilled about this, the fact that her husband and her kids have been lying behind her back, does see Fred's point, so she promises not to say anything to the kids and let them perform at the winter dance. So we fast forward to the night of the winter dance, and Fred and Zach have the entire band set up behind the curtain on stage. Someone at the school has been nice enough to bring their phone and a Bluetooth speaker hooked up so that there is some music going on for the kids, but that's all they've got. Fred and Zach get all the kids together behind the curtain, and they're ready to surprise the entire school with their performance. Right before they go on, Summer comes backstage and sees all the kids and their instruments getting ready to play. Kevin and Miranda begin to apologize to their mother for lying to them, but she stops them and apologizes to them for forgetting what it's like to be a kid who needs to have some fun and promises to never forget that moving forward. She then asks, who's the lead singer of the band? The kids tell her that there is no lead singer. They only had enough kids to play instruments. Fred and Zach open up the curtains, the kids take their places, and they begin playing I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. The whole gym erupts with excitement, and then out of nowhere, Summer grabs the microphone and sings lead and brings the house down. Once the performance is over, Fred, Summer, Kevin, and Miranda all embrace on stage with a big hug. The movie ends with a scene of our guy, Dewey Finn, in Hawaii, on the beach, playing ukulele with a bunch of beautiful Hawaiian women in grass skirts behind him.
Oh my God.
Every movie should end like that.
Yeah, for real. I hope that's the last thing I see before I die, honestly. Like, some people, like, their life's gonna flash behind them, before their eyes. No, I want to see Jack Black. I actually want him to be in the grass skirt.
Exactly.
I'm being honest with you.
Yes.
We can make that adjustment. Yeah. We can have Jack Black.
Yeah, let him know. Let him know.
So funny. Nice job.
These were great. Wow. I mean, honestly, round of applause for both of you. Do I get another questions round, or do I have to proceed?
Yeah. Sure,
of course.
My questions round for you, David, is what do you think, like, was there a universe where Patty and Ned could have, like, been a healthier couple, or are they just one of those doomed from the start matches? Like, does that kind of, did they start toxic, or were they always toxic, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I rushed it for the purposes of just rushed the relationship, the meaning or the overall thing. I jumped right to where they're at kind of in the first movie.
No worries.
But I do think, now that you've asked, it's a great question. That relationship would be a really good, if we're going to get really nitty gritty with it, in the same way that we want to make the Natalie Portman Sarah role kind of meaty.
Yeah.
An exploration of this relationship could be done as well, because I think, like a lot of relationships that end up toxic, especially in a creative context, it doesn't start toxic, or it doesn't, people don't end up together because they don't like each other or they don't relate to things. But seeing how one person's prioritization of a creative pursuit over time spent with people can be viewed by the other side of that relationship as, like, you don't care about me as much as this thing, or XYZ. how those things manifest over time, how that can form wedges and get, build walls and relationships that eventually lead to something like what we see of Ned and Patty in the first movie.
Right.
So I did not dive into that in my 3-act structure, but I think that's how I would look at that relationship if we were going to actually make the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's kind of like A Star is Born,
Right.
but Black Jack is Bradley Cooper.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not mad about that.
I love that recast too. Yeah.
Like
Reboot.
I'm not mad about that.
Not at all.
Isn't that what the movie's called? A Star is Born?
A Star is Born. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
Great movie.
It's actually, that movie's been remade several times. It was also Barbara Streisand, I think, did it in the 70s as well. Yeah.
I think the Bradley Cooper version might be the 3rd time they've made that movie.
Yeah.
I think so too. Oh, Barbara, my queen.
Yeah.
Oh man. Jordan, thank you for your contribution as well. My question to you is, what are the kids going to continue playing music after they graduate high school, or kind of like what happens next with them?
So this is middle school. So they are.
Oh my gosh!
This is 8th grade. They are.
Yes.
They just had their 8th grade winter formal or dance, whatever you want to call it. And I would say yes. I would say that Summer's eyes has been opened up to seeing that the kids need to have a little bit more fun, and they're taking school a little bit too seriously. And moving forward, the kids are going to be encouraged to also explore some creative things, as well as thriving in the world of academia. So I would say,
of course, I love thriving in the world of academia. Yes,
exactly.
My favorite thing to do. Okay.
Yeah,
all day, every day. Great. So I just get to judge you now.
You pick a winner.
You pick a winner.
Okay,
if you had your movie budget, whose idea are you funding?
Yeah, okay. I'm waiting for the Venmo request to come through for you guys. I don't know what's going on.
Check yourself.
Yeah,
right. So, here's what I like about both of them. Jordan, I love that yours offers a similar lightheartedness in the spirit. I love actually that you focused on the students' relationship with music and their social life. That is I like that too. I think that's one of my favorite parts of the previous movie, the original. So really well done there. David, I appreciate that you are retaining kind of the Dewey Finn of it all and kind of giving us an origin story for him, because I do think that he's such a unique character in cinema. Like, he's such a fun, trickster teacher, that it is exciting to see where he could get some of that energy from and how music has like inspired him. So thank you for that. Gosh, this is a really challenging decision, I'm not going to lie. And taking into account which movie or which project I think has the most potential to just continue, this storytelling, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and greenlight David's. I think I'm gonna have to greenlight David's, and
I'm devastated.
Yes.
Honestly, if I had it my way, I would greenlight both of them. To be honest, because I think that the lightheartedness is so important. So it's really like a 0.01 second difference at the finish line. But I'm gonna go David's just a little bit. And really, it's because I like the way that you framed Ned being a teacher.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of it, because I'm a teacher. So that was a little bit of buttering up. That being said, I would rather direct Jordan's.
Yeah.
So Jordan,
your offer still stands, Jordan.
Yeah. I would prefer to do your project if I'm choosing which one I want to actually work on.
Right.
It's Jordan's.
Well, nice. I regrettably congratulate you, David.
Thank you. That was very, very nice, very sportsmanlike of you. I appreciate that. And Aviva, incredible questions and insights and judging in general. We should have said this in your intro, but you're a very qualified judge to be looking at stories and directing and things of this nature. As a a professional creative person and someone who has a lot of experience doing this. So your insights and questions are spot on and super appreciated. I take this victory to heart, but also agree with what you said about Jordan. Jordan, I think that was a really fun idea. And my biggest reservation of going the way that I did with it was losing the spirit that yours has, I think, which is like, movies should be about kids loving music, making friends, doing things together that are meaningful. And School of Rock first period is not that, I will say. It is definitely a darker twist, but yeah, thanks, Aviva. Appreciate it. And Jordan, we're evened up, man. 1-1, That's baby. Right. Let's go.
1-1. Yeah, no, this is fun. I think I love the creative swings we get to take with this, and you've taken some big swings the first two. I think I took a bigger swing this time than I did the first one, and so I'm a little heartbroken that I lost, but I'll live. But no, this is always a pleasure.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But before we wrap, I want to say two quick things. First, I would just want to thank Nolan Maraziti. I know he's told us that we don't have to do that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Nolan's done an excellent job editing and producing all of our stuff. And I also just want to give, I'm going to be, I'm not going to say a ton, but I want to give a shout out to a friend who's going through a really tough time right now. Just want to say, I love you, my guy. And, things are going to get better. So other than that, David, why don't you get us out of here? Also, thank you to Aviva, of course.
Oh,
thank you. It was so much fun, guys.
Aviva, you're the best. And I'll just say, since my movie just got greenlit and we're rolling in the dough, Jordan, you said everyone should have a friend like Ned Schneebly. You are that friend to me and lots of other people. So as evidence of you shouting out your guy here, and whoever that is, everyone's behind you, my friend. Whatever you're going through, we got your back. So thank you to everyone for tuning in and checking out the reboot. Again, Aviva, you're the best. Thank you. Jordan, great job as always. Guys. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. We can't wait for the next one, and thanks for tuning in.
Until the next time, this is the Reboot. We're out of here.
Peace.